너가 읽은다。
どうした？
物よこせ。
さあ、ダメだ。
Casey, an American martial arts instructor, is based in Japan where he teaches students at the Koga Dojo, a respected martial arts training hall. One day, while shopping at a jewelry store for a gift for his pregnant wife Namiko, he comes across an amulet necklace he believes is perfect for her. As he leaves the shop, he notices two suspicious men keeping a close watch on him. The pair trails him through the streets until Casey cleverly slips out of sight with some ninja-like evasive moves. Confrontation arises when the men corner him. Casey initially surrenders his wallet, but when they demand the necklace, he refuses to hand it over. A fight breaks out, and though Casey has nothing but a cloth in hand, he uses it skillfully to fend off their attacks. The scuffle becomes intense, but Casey's mastery allows him to disarm and defeat them, leaving the thugs battered. Before leaving, he notices a strange symbol engraved on their knives but chooses not to dwell on it. Later, Casey gives Namiko the amulet, which makes her overjoyed and deeply affectionate toward him. That night, Namiko wakes up with pregnancy cravings and insists she wants dark chocolate. Even though she reassures Casey that he doesn't need to go out, he decides to head to the store for her. Tragedy strikes during his absence. A stranger armed with a weapon wrapped in barbed wire sneaks into their home. When Casey returns, he is devastated to find Namiko murdered, her neck viciously torn open. Crushed with grief and rage, he embraces her lifeless body and takes back the amulet necklace he had gifted her, now a symbol of his pursuit of vengeance. At her funeral, Casey is visited by Nakabara, an old friend who runs a martial arts school in Thailand. Nakabara suggests Casey come to his dojo to recover and train, but Casey declines, saying he has unfinished business to settle. The story then shifts to Myanmar, where a ruthless drug lord named Goro oversees a cartel. When one of his men fails to deliver a proper shipment, Goro brutally executes him using a barbed wire weapon, the same kind that killed Namiko. Meanwhile, Casey tries to trace Namiko's killers, suspecting a link to the men who attacked him earlier. He recalls their unique triple kick technique, which points him toward the Alma Dojo. When Casey visits, the students insist the attackers are not members, but Casey challenges them all anyway, beating them down in a brutal fight until one finally admits the truth. Following the lead, Casey lures the thugs to an alley by sending them the amulet as bait. Once they fall into his trap, Casey unleashes his fury, stabbing one, severing another's hand, and finally slitting his throat. With this mission complete, Casey finally travels to Thailand to visit Nakabara's dojo. There, he meets Nakabara's best students, Lucas and Hiroshi. Curious about why Nakabara teaches in Thailand rather than Japan, Casey asks, prompting Nakabara to recount his family's history. During World War II, Nakabara's father was among 2,500 elite ninjas sent into the Burmese jungles to conduct covert operations. They were trained in stealth, survival, and deadly precision, posing a serious threat to Allied forces. Only 14 of those ninjas survived, one of whom was Nakabara's father. After the war, he chose to remain in Thailand, and Nakabara now carries on his legacy. During sparring practice, Casey dominates Lucas, who, out of frustration, reaches for a bakken, a wooden practice sword. When Casey blocks him, Lucas lashes out unfairly, forcing Casey to retaliate violently. Consumed by anger, Casey beats Lucas mercilessly with the bakken until Nakabara steps in to stop him. Concerned about Casey's emotional instability, Nakabara introduces him to firewalking training meant to help him gain control. However, Casey cannot complete it as he remains haunted by memories of Namiko. Seeking relief, he heads to a bar, where a drunken patron provokes him. The situation escalates when more men join in, but Casey defeats them all. following day, Casey is still exhausted from the fight, so Lucas takes his place picking fruit in the garden. Tragedy strikes when Lucas is murdered by a stranger wielding the same barbed wire weapon used against Namiko. Casey quickly realizes the connection and confronts Nakabara. Nakabara then reveals a dark history involving Goro. He explains that Goro is the younger brother of Isamu, one of the top 3 students of the Koga dojo, along with Tetsuo, Namiko's father, and Nakabara's father. When their master died, Isamu challenged Tetsuo for leadership of the dojo but was killed in the duel, making Tetsuo the grandmaster. Goro, who witnessed his brother's death, swore vengeance. Now, Goro has risen to power as a drug lord, using barbed wire as his signature weapon. Nakabara warns Casey that being Tetsuo's son-in-law makes him a prime target and advises him to return to the US, but Casey insists on finding Goro. Nakabara reluctantly provides him with an ancient map of the Burmese jungle, pointing to hidden ninja weapon caches left by his father during the war. Casey heads to Myanmar, where he befriends an Indian cab driver named Mike. Later that night, he enters a bar and fights a group of drug dealers. He returns to his hotel room to rest, only to find himself arrested by the State Peace and Development Council, who accuse him of being an American spy and torture him. He escapes from his cell and extracts information on Goro's whereabouts from SPDC General Sung before Mike drives him to the jungle. There, Casey finds a cemetery of Japanese soldiers and arms himself with a box full of ninja weapons buried under a wooden grave marker with the Nakabara clan symbol. He sneaks into Goro's hideout, setting the complex on fire before facing Goro's right-hand man Myatt. The fight ends with Casey stabbing Myatt in the heart and breaking his neck. He then squares off against Goro before slashing him in the midsection. In the middle of the fight, Goro wraps his barbed wire manriki around Casey's neck, but Casey uses his strength to free himself and throw Goro to the ground before decapitating him. Casey returns to Nakabara's dojo, only to discover that Nakabara was the one who murdered Namiko and Lucas. Nakabara is revealed to be a drug lord himself, and he used Casey to wipe out Goro's cartel to monopolize the Southeast Asian drug trade. He then gives Casey the choice to either join him or die. Both men engage in an intense fight until Casey kicks Nakabara through a thin wall, revealing a room full of ancient artifacts. They continue the fight in the room with weapons, with Casey slashing Nakabara in the midsection and Nakabara impaling Casey's left shoulder with his wakizashi. Nakabara lunges toward Casey, but Casey grabs a manriki and wraps it around Nakabara's neck for the kill. Later, Casey reveals Nakabara's true motives to Hiroshi, one of the dojo's students. Knowing that such actions would ruin the dojo's reputation, Hiroshi states the incident never happened and bids Casey farewell. Casey returns to Japan and drops Namiko's pendant in a pond, bringing closure to his loss.